I think for today's prompt, you're gonna find all of my manga have pretty similar picks or similar reasons why I picked them, I should say. Hello friends, happy Wednesday, so very excited that you're here. It is Top 5 Wednesday and I am very excited for this video, even though it literally took me until this morning to finally lock in all of my picks that I wanted to feature, because this was a very thought-provoking prompt. It was by a Patreon members, and shout out to my Patreon channel members for all the prompt suggestions this month. Be sure to check out the link below if you'd like to sign up and also contribute and share some prompts as well. But the prompt was characters you wish to be more like. And I had to think about this one because I feel like for the last prompt I did, where it was like characters you see yourself in, which I have a video here, I feel like that was a lot easier for me. And I don't know if it's just because I already had picks like put aside and have been thinking about that prompt in general. But this one, I was like, okay, I was like, characters I wish to be more like. My brain goes blank. And that was like, what happened? And I was like, okay, I was like, I know there's characters I want to be like, because one thing I really love about reading manga, definitely when it comes to shoujo manga, is main characters that really inspire you with their choices, with their actions, and how brave they're being and how determined they are. And that was a common theme for my picks today of I really feel like these characters all have this very strong sense of bravery or courage or determination, which is something I feel like I personally struggle with, and I really love seeing characters be very brave because I'm like, I could use a boost of bravery like every single day. And with that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. For number one, this character was actually the very first person that came to mind right after this person suggested this prompt, and that is Ace from Twisted Wonderland. Let me turn the manga upside down. Yes, so I'm gonna say Ace. I think I've mentioned in past reading wrap-ups that I had very interesting feelings about him because he's very outspoken, and sometimes you don't know if he is just sort of throwing shade your way or genuinely just being funny. I still sometimes don't know, but it took volume 3 where I was like, Ace is amazing. Now I've played the game and everything like that, so I know what happens, but I really feel like seeing his character in the manga has been very, not life-changing, but has helped me to see him in a different kind of way, because when Riddle, who is the house warden, when he is going unhinged, for the lack of like the best way I could say without going into spoilers, when he's going unhinged, I'm like, I am terrified of you, Riddle, right now. You are crazy, and all I would want to do is just run. And yet here's Ace in the middle of this chaos, in the middle of this meltdown that's happening, where his life could literally be on the line. He's over here calling Riddle a giant baby, and he refuses to take it back at any point, even when Riddle's like, you need to take back what you said, and Ace is like, no, I'm not. And I'm just like, Ace, hello, buddy. Can you not read the room right now that you probably should eat your words and take it back? And so that's actually why I'm choosing Ace, because I was amazed. I'm not really sure what the right word is to describe him in that moment, but he just doesn't seem, I don't think saying he doesn't seem to care is the right word. He is outspoken. And I guess that is something I would love to see more in myself, is to be more outspoken and not be afraid to sometimes just say things how they are. Because, I mean, I wouldn't want to say something to hurt somebody's feelings, but I think in this moment, Ace just said the truth of what's happening. I would love to be like him and not worry like this is going to completely backfire on me and I'm going to regret this forever. I don't feel like Ace feels even a remorse of that. Like, even when somebody steps in to save him from harm, Ace still is not backing down. Like, he's still not disputing those words that all Riddle wants him to do is just take the words back. So I feel like Ace was a really great pick for me, even though like when I play the game, there's some things of the shade he'd be throwing that I'm like, I don't want to be like that, but just to be more outspoken as he is and not be afraid of what kind of like how the other person would take it, and just sort of say the truth rather than like, okay, this is what I'm thinking and I'm just gonna keep it in my brain. I'm not gonna be saying anything about it. And hopefully that made sense. I just saw The Mailman, and The Mailman actually is volume 4 for me, and I'm very, very excited to read it. Going on to number 2, this is a manhwa, and that is gonna be Penelope from Villains or Destiny. I have gushed so much about her. I I love Penelope. She's one of my best girls. She is amazing. And the reason I am featuring her today is because I know that I've seen online that according to the creator, we both have the same personality. We are both ISFJ. And I'm like, girl, how do we share personality types? Because I would love to be more like Penelope in the sense of how brave this woman is. I don't know how she can go out among all these chaotic men and live her life. I honestly, and I know there's a point in the story where she's like, I'd rather just stay locked up in my room because then I don't have to interact with anybody. My life won't be on the line. But yet here she is, still going outside of her room and going out and interacting with these guys. I do not have that kind of courage. I don't got that kind of bravery. No, I would, if I was her, I would stay in that room. I would just try and never leave, you know, maybe for dinner time with the family. But even then, you know, you got to deal with Derek and Reynolds. I mean, Reynolds, he's gotten so much better, but Derek, oh my gosh, no. Anyway, we will not start ranting about them, but I just am amazed. And that's why I really love her character, because I admire how strong she is and how she just keeps going. I feel like the most logical choice would be like, go back home, stay home. I mean, she's still going out there and trying. She's thinking through her decisions and trying to think of how can I get out of this situation. And even though I feel like things are really dangerous for her right now, and when are they not dangerous, honestly, she's still going out there doing her thing. And so I would love to be more like her, that even in the face of fear, that you're still moving forward, that you're still trying to live your life the best way that you can, because there's times that I feel like I get super caught up in fear and it's hard to take that next step. And Penelope, I'm like, girl, even if you're afraid, you're like, I'm just gonna keep going. So I knew for that reason, I just had to gush about Penelope and how strong she is, because even if she doesn't see it, I'm like, girl, you are incredibly strong. You're OP in your own kind of way. And that's why I always say, I'm like, I'm gonna be your biggest fan and cheer for you, because yeah, the guys are amazing, most of them, but I'm like, Penelope, you are the best because of how you're just standing strong and going forward. For number 3, another character that definitely does this is Tsubaki in Kakuryou Bed and Breakfast for Spirits. I was blown away by her story. I gushed a lot about it in my video review because you guys voted and chose this manga in my shoujo event, and I feel like she's very similar to Penelope in a way where she's still moving forward. I mean, she's grieving the loss of her grandpa. She's now finding out all of these things and how he sort of had like I don't know if alter ego would be the right word, but I mean, he had like another life and people view him so much differently. He is not the same grandpa that raised her. I mean, he's the same man, but when she hears the rumors and she hears things about him and the rumors are true, it really shakes her whole world. And yet she's thrown in with these spirits, with these yokai. I'm not going to say she's unfazed because it definitely affects her, but like Penelope, she's still moving forward. I'm like, girl, how are you doing this? I would be terrified. I would just go ahead and be like, you know what, Odana, I'm going to marry you, buddy. That seems the safest choice for me, so I'm going to go ahead and marry you. And she's like, you know what, I don't care if all these yokai are angry at me because I'm not marrying Odana. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to make my decisions. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, that is a strong backbone. And that is something I would love to have more of, is have a stronger backbone. So she's definitely a character I wish I could be more like, especially when it comes to cooking. I would love to be more of a chef like her. So she is another character that I feel like is just very determined and very strong when they face these decisions that to me feel overwhelming. And I would look for the easiest route out. I'm not going to lie. I really would. I mean, if I couldn't go back home and she can't go back home, and then when she has an opportunity where she does go back home, she's like, I don't want to stay here. And I'm just amazed by that. I truly am. She's like, oh, and she's right here. I know Odana's like super big, but I just grabbed the first volume this morning because it was the easiest. But she is an incredible heroine. And I was so blown away by her choices. And I'm like, girl, I wish I could be more like you. Have that same determination where you stick to your resolve. You stick to, if you want to make these decisions and not be influenced by anybody else, then you make those decisions, because goodness, that ain't me every single day. That is for sure. I could be more like her in so many ways. For number 4, I decided to feature this manga because I featured it yesterday on Instagram and Tumblr, and I hope I say her name right. I always feel like I say it wrong. Is that Aline? But she is I'm the Villainess, so I'm taming, or she's from I'm the Villainess, so I'm taming the final boss. I was rereading some of this morning. It was almost late. Well, I was later than what I planned that I had to film this video. But I feel like she is another heroine where her engagement has just been broken. broken. She's facing these pressures from her father to open a new business where he's like, now that you're not going to be, was it the, not runner-up, but she was supposed to, she was engaged to the prince and who would soon one day be the emperor, and now she's not in that role, and her dad's like, well, you got to do something to bring in some money to have some kind of, where you have like a life ahead of you. And so she goes out here and goes to the final boss and is like, you know what? Let's get married. I'm gonna marry you, because then she feels like if she marries the demon lord, then everything's gonna be okay. Her life will not be on the line. She's not gonna trip any of the red flags, so she can live a happy life. No way, if I was in her shoes, would I think that's the first course of action I should take today. No. And so I feel like I wish I could be more like her in that when she has, in the sense where she has these pressures on her and she's having to make these decisions, that she's so business savvy. Like, she is another character who seems unfazed by the circumstances around her and has this goal in mind and just zones in on it and focuses on it and goes forward. I don't feel I could ever be quite like that. If I'm feeling a lot of pressure, then I feel like it's going to trigger my anxiety and I feel like I'm going to feel overwhelmed, and it's going to be harder, much harder for me to make strong decisions. I mean, she launches a new business and she does all of these things with the different characters in this story who are considered the bad guys, and she doesn't really blink an eye at it. I mean, she does some extreme measures in this first volume alone, and it's just amazing to me to see how she really tries to grab any option she can, and if she feels it's one of the best, even if it's ridiculous, she goes for it. So I want to be like her. I want to be like her. I love her character in general anyway, and how strong she is, and how really she gives 100% of her all, and I'm thankful that I was going to say a spoiler by accident, but I'm really thankful that we're getting volume 4 of the manga. I believe it's sometime later this year. It's a bunch of side stories, and I'm so stoked for it because this is one of the most reread manga I have read in my collection. I do have a video review if I didn't mention it already. I love her. I love her. So she's definitely another character. Like I said, there's a reoccurring trend here of wanting to be more like these characters who I feel like are really strong and just able to move forward. Like I said before, she's not unfazed by things that happen in this manga. You can definitely see that she has been hurt by other characters, hurt by people's actions, and yet she's still trying. I just can't get over that she's opened a business and it's thriving, and I'm just like, that is just amazing, because if I was under that kind of pressure, I could not do that. At least I feel I could not. So, but if I was more like her, then I definitely feel like I would have that kind of mindset, strength, and determination to do exactly that. So I want to be more like her. For number 5, I am going to say Fumi from Queen's Quality. I am blown away by this young woman's strength, and this volume completely gutted me, and literally I felt physically nauseous after reading because of the twist that happened. And I'm just like, girl, you're so strong. You're so strong. This series has been very healing for me, has been very life-changing for me. It's one of the few video reviews that I film where I got very emotional and cried when filming, because it just helped me to overcome things in my life, of things I believed about myself. And I just am amazed that Fumi, she grows so much. She is thrown all of these crazy things at her. She freely lets herself feel these emotions. I was about to say, doesn't let them phase her, but it's like she lets herself feel the emotions that she's feeling. She doesn't bury them, no matter how hard it is, no matter how saddening it is. She lets those tears flow if she needs to, and she picks up her sword and she fights. She does whatever she needs to do, not at the extent of pushing her mental health or her well-being downward. And I feel like in previous years that I have not put my mental health where it should be, in the sense that I'm making it a priority. And so I feel like Fumi has been very inspiring to me, and a character I want to be more like, because she's thinking of her well-being, she's thinking of her mental health, and yet she's still out there fighting. The way that she reminds how we need community, we need people around us to help us to, or allow us to be vulnerable with them and transparent about our struggles, is like so important to our overall well-being as humans. There are so many things I love about her daughter character that I love about this series, and I just feel I'm always so inspired when I read her story and admire her so much because I'm like, I would love to have your kind of strength, Fumi. I mean, yes, she has a determination, but I really feel like this volume specifically of the things that she finds out, I'm like, girl, how are you still able to pick up that sword and keep fighting? How is your mind not mental chaos where everything just feels like it's unraveling? I don't know. I don't know, but I would love to be like her so that I could know what that feels like because I just was so blown away by this volume despite the emotional upset, or not emotional, the physical upsetness I was feeling. This has definitely been my favorite read of this month, even though I had to just sit and process this manga after I read it because it was just so much. But she's incredible. I mean, all of the characters in this series honestly are amazing, and I would love to be like more like Kyutaro as well, and how steadfast these characters are and that they pick up their weapons and they keep going, they keep fighting. It is amazing to see unfold in this series, and honestly all of these series. Like I said, there was a theme here. There was a theme today of being more brave, of being able to move forward ahead even when everything feels chaotic and you feel overwhelmed. I admire all these characters and so desperately wish I could be more like them, but I would love to hear from you, friends. What are some characters that you would love to be more like, that you were like, man, you see those qualities and you're like, I would love to have that, or how they make decisions? Let me know down below. I would love to know. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!